Hello, I'm Scott Thompson and welcome to After 10. The new year is a natural time for us all to look to the future. But instead of looking at just the year 2014 today, we're looking further into the future, decades from now. To help us do that, we are joined by Park Young-suk, CEO of the UN Future Forum.
A nation will collapse from a decrease in population. A major city with the wealth of creative businesses becomes stronger than a nation. The Millennium Project, a gathering of futurists from around the world, has published its UN Future Report every year since 2008, offering long-term perspectives of events far into the future. The newly published 2040 UN Future Report focuses on transformative changes that will take place in the coming decades. Park Young-suk, CEO of the UN Future Forum, is one of the main authors of the UN Future Report series. She emphasizes that a futurist should always put ideas into action. Using her experience working in foreign embassies for nearly 30 years, she now focuses on predicting future events so we can better prepare for them. On today's After 10, with the start of the new year, we look at the future of Korea years from now. Meet Park Young-suk, CEO of the UN Future Forum.
Professor Park, thank you very much for being on the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, each and every year you publish the Future Forecast Report, this year's version being the 2040 UN Future Report. Tell us a little bit about this most recent book.
This book is written by actually 3,500 people. We add and delete all together with all those specialties from each sector, nano, bio, and medical. And it is a debate and it is a co-project. It comes out every year, end of year. And it's been about 16 years we've been publishing this. And the Millennium Project is a futures research think tank, global futures research think tank. And it is a global project to connect futurists around the world to improve futures forecast. And we publish this book as well as a futures methodology version, CD. We have 40 different methodologies, so we publish that, as well as we have an internet program which is called Global Futures Collective Intelligence System. So we always go in every day to add more, delete, we update daily basis.
It's an ongoing process.
That's right.
Based on new data coming in.
New data coming in, a new special person or number one person in that sort of sector or industry as whatever he thinks would happen or it happened or new breakthroughs came out or assets or budgets or whatever. It all goes in. And it's a supercomputer that we run.
We're going to look to the future here in just a moment, but first let's look to the past for a little bit. You have worked in the Australian, the British embassies, you've worked in diplomatic circles, you are now a futurist. Some might wonder what the correlation is, how you got interested in this field in the first place.
When I met my husband, he was reading The Futurist, which is a bi-monthly magazine, deals with all the futures events and futures forecast. And there I read something about 9/11 incident in 1970s, late 70s. They are saying that Arabs or these terrorists will attack the World Trade Center because it is the sort of symbol of capitalism. And when it actually happened in 2001, I was so shocked. And before then, I was hired by the British government in 1982, and I was trained as a, not futurist, but the information officer, in order to publicize or, let the people know what the futures Britain would like. They have to teach us the futures methodologies, futurologists they call it, so that I was trained and I was focusing on reports on futures like Korea. Even we collect all the information from all 192 countries to prepare a report for 2020, 2030, or 2040. So that's the government work, British government, and also some 30 different governments are producing futures reports. And Finland is the sort of leading one. America is also leading.
You scratched the surface there a little bit about how exactly you predict the future. There may be a misunderstanding out there among some people who think that you've got one person in a room who's making predictions, pulling things out of a hat. That's not the way this works. Explain a little bit about how people do predict the future based on, again, the data.
Yes, we've searched all around the world how people will predict and the futures methodologies, and we came up with 3,000, but we narrowed it down to 40 different futures methodologies. And the Millennium Project's members are the 70% of the authors of the futures methodologies. So there are futures wheel and also environmental scanning and cross impacts analysis, scenarios, Delphi, and all these are put together to sort of predict futures. And it is a supercomputer or all these statistical methodologies. It's not just one person predicting this or that. That is also called genius forecasting. There is one person who is knowledgeable, who is a futurist for something like 50 years. That person can predict this or that because he has knowledge of all these sectors.
And again, I guess the question might be as well, how accurate are these predictions? I know it's a sliding scale, right? The predictions can change based on factors that we see throughout the world, right?
When we printed it, we could be wrong, but nowadays it's online. You update daily basis or monthly or yearly basis, so that did you go into the site today? That is the update. So it cannot be wrong. But basically, we say that 70% of the predictions are accurate. 30%, it doesn't happen because of whatever the reasons, it doesn't happen. And it all depends on the focusing. Government budgets and policies will make the future. We invent the future, we do not predict the future, We have to decide what would be our preferred future, what we want, so that we change our budgets, we change our policies to make it.
Which takes us to maybe a bit of a simple question, but what do we learn by doing this, by predicting the future, by looking at the data and trying to figure out what is going to happen? What do we learn?
Yeah, futures are basically warning the bad futures, so that we would like to change it or prevent it and have solutions in advance so that we have a better world. The world is getting better than getting worse at the moment, even if we see things are bad.
That might surprise some people, though. It's getting better rather than worse. Why do you say that?
Because of the technology change, ICT technologies, as well as nano, bio, info, cogno technologies are growing so fast that we have Google glasses next year, and iWatch that we will carry around. So things will be better.
And the idea that whatever challenges we may face down the line, technology is going to help us maybe solve some of them, right?
Solve the problems, such as the biggest problem, we call it climate change, water shortage, and also there are many, international diseases, international crime, and rich-poor gap, and all these will be solved so that we have 15 global challenges we deal with, the Millennium Project, and we give solutions. We first give them, facts. This is happening and this will be happening, and our desired goal we want this rather than this, so that in order to achieve this desired goal, preferred futures, we have to do this, change the policies, or America or the US and China has to agree on climate change policies to reduce the CO2s and carbon.
So let's talk about some of the challenges that Korea is going to be facing down the line, some of the challenges that will need to be solved. You've pinpointed 7 challenges, 7 particular
Yeah.
challenges that will present themselves to Korea in the future. Give us an idea of what they are.
It's not only 7, but I came out about 7. The first one will be our aging and low birth rate, so that the nation, power of a nation or the government or the ruling parties will diminish or decrease because of the population aging, and also we have a huge challenge on budgets of welfare, as well as safety net, social safety net, and the cost of medical insurances and all these will skyrocket. So we have to challenge all these.
So the low birth rate being one, the aging population.
Yeah, the lowest birth rate in the world at the moment, so that we predicted that 2300 we will become 50,000 only.
50,000
only
people
living in Korea. 50,000
by the year
2300.
2,300. Okay.
So, with that in mind, I established Korean Foster Care Association not to import or not to give our children to abroad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the low birth rate, the aging population being one big challenge. What are some of the others that we're looking at?
There are many sort of sectors which are now the people think booming will be actually diminishing. Some things are obsolete, disappeared, and certain things like car industries, Hyundai Motors, cars will be basically disappeared. People like young youth in the United States no longer play with the cars. They play with the mobile phones, smartphones, iPhones,
right.
iPads, so that they do not buy cars. And that is not the only reason. It is basically driverless cars, self-driving cars. Google announced self-driving cars, and Singapore has implemented taxis and buses now running without drivers. In order to have the driverless cars, you have to have a huge, AI, the motors and all these, which is a smart grid, and also you can call it Internet of Things. With that in mind, the automobiles will be not sold to the individuals, but people will just pick up. If you just press one button of your mobile phones, and the car will be up there to pick you up in 10 minutes. People will not buy cars, so that the automobile producers will become automobile rental service companies.
So those are 2 challenges we've talked about. We've got 5 more to get through now. What would be the third one?
Like KEPCO, electricity providing companies will disappear. And in the United States, some other countries, they have already privatized all these sectors. People produce their own energy with the solar or wind on their rooftops, so that they can produce and save. Storage technology is good, so that they can save their electricity on their own. So that EU government has already produced the smart grid to use networked smart grid to borrow whatever the electricity produced by your neighbor, and if there are leftovers, they can sell it to eBay. So it is a system they have already implemented.
Right.
So it will be coming to Korea as well.
Trading electricity reserves. Right?
Electricity.
Okay.
So people can produce their own electricities.
Okay.
And
so that's 3 challenges.
3
then.
challenges.
Yeah.
Iron and ore, like a POSCO may also disappear. People say that the Stone Age did not end because of the stones ran out of.
Right.
They ran out of stones. So that's not it.
Right.
It is better things came out, like bronze came out, but bronze is not strong enough, so that iron ore came, and iron ore is not strong enough nowadays. Carbon nanotubes, which is 10 times stronger than iron, and also graphene. We call graphene as a next age, graphene age.
Right.
Graphene is 10 to 100 times stronger than steel, and carbon Carbon is 3 times stronger than diamonds. Diamonds are strongest, you know. So things more stronger and also different, like geoform. You can form it almost all different, sort of features, so that you can just put it into form and then you produce almost everything. So that it also may go.
Okay, so another area, another industry we may see change drastically in the coming years. What's another challenge?
And manufacturing also may just go because of 3D printing. 3D printing may become mainstream in 2 years or so. We've been predicting this 26 years. When I first told them that 3D printing will print things, at home, in your kitchen, people laughed at me.
Right, they thought you were mad probably, right?
Yeah, I thought them, in the beginning, they're crazy, but I can see that now, and 3D printing can print almost everything, and that is a big challenge for us. And manufacturing, like in the US, manufacturing is very low, like 8%. Korea is something like 28%. That will probably go, and people can produce almost everything at home or in your sort of office.
Okay. I think we've got, that's 5 I think we're up to. We've got maybe 2 more, is that right?
Universities will disappear. By 2030, 50%, half of the universities of the world will disappear, like Thomas Pray, Da Vinci Institute. Director says that, and that is because of the online free, you heard about edX.org, Coursera, Udacity, Udemy, iTunes,
People are going to be learning online.
Online free.
Free of charge.
Used to be, like MIT's Open Courseware. 2,100 courses are now free.
Right.
Anybody can just, go and learn it, but without any certificates. We are predicting PhDs may go, university is too long, and therefore micro colleges will be opening up.
Will be more the norm.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
So education
and it's cheaper, shorter, and it's a custom-made sort of, skills that you teach.
Sure, okay. Sort of a user-friendly education environment, right?
Yeah, also education will become free. Collective intelligence, Wikipedia, all these. Jimmy Wales, I invited him over, and he was saying that universities will go, then. Okay. And we are also predicting smartphones as well. We are all depend on mobile phones all the time.
Right.
However, like biocomputers, chips going into your body, and in the UK, 2016, in 2 years' time, all the microchipping of all dogs will be implemented in England. Therefore, you have to have chips in your dogs whenever you have a dog. Otherwise, you cannot grow your dog. You can have your dogs.
This is the one that scares people. This is the one that scares people, right? The idea of having a chip implanted inside of them.
Yeah, when it goes to animals, then it comes to human beings. It's 2023.
2023, very soon.
Yeah, people will have their chips in the head to restore their memories. First of all, it's a medical reasons, but people will have to have it. So biocomputers will come in 2028. Somewhere in 2030, by 2030, we will have all these, chips and whatever, or printed skin, which has the electronic codes, so that you can use. It's arm phone, we call it.
It's the stuff of movies. I mean, these are the things that we see in sci-fi movies, right?
Because we all know that which institute or which sort of groups or which companies are developing this. It came to such a level, and they also introduce all these technologies to some sort of magazines and all that.
I think we got through all the challenges, correct? Right?
Sure, yeah.
These are the challenges. We've talked about some of the things, and I think maybe the answer can be found there, the silver lining. But let's look at the glass half full approach to this question. What are some of the good things, the positive things that we can look at in the future as being, things to look forward to?
Yeah, glass half full, always. We think it that way. Otherwise, life is so miserable.
Right.
Yeah, we are very optimistic, and things will be solved. And as soon as we find the problems first, what are the problems, and we can solve it. Like human beings are so superior, and we can solve it. The first challenge will be the climate change. Biggest challenge, climate change, is huge, like Bangkok will be submerged within around 2030. Bangladesh will be, people will be abandoning, people will abandon Bangkok city because, it goes down.
Right.
And so many islands are already disappeared. The Cutlet Island in Papua New Guinea will be disappearing next year, fully submerged. And things like that we have to cure. And in order to have solutions, you have to develop alternative energies. Like, at the moment, we have the oil, but oil we developed 1850s, somewhere around.
Right.
We used it, and then we now know that it causes, like fossil fuel causes the climate change. So alternative energies are the solutions. And a small sort of a sector of alternative energy is now being used, but basically the first thing we call the solutions will be a solar satellite, 24 hours solar up in the satellite,
right.
and then you shoot it down. That will be 2030 around. And also fusion, ITER we call it, fusion technology will be coming in 2040 somewhere, and also superconductor, and so many different technologies are being developed, and that will cure probably, altogether the climate change problems. So
solutions are on the way to be optimistic
right.
about the problems we face. Let's talk a little bit more about those solutions. One thing you've established or helped to establish is the SNS Future Forum. Tell us a little bit about what it aims to do.
That aims to sort of network all these individuals. Countries' power will go down to individuals nowadays, because individuals will have their own newspaper companies or television stations, which is Twitter and Facebook,
right.
So that, the Arab Spring, all these people were quite active in Arab Spring. They're the ones who use the Twitters and Facebook.
Right.
So that we are trying to put them all together to help these solutions, to cure all these, solutions and problems that we face at the moment, challenges we have to deal with. And, it is a collective intelligence, and we have 80 million sort of followers. Some are very, high-powered bloggers and Twitters, and I have myself 400,000 followers in Twitter and Facebook,
sure.
And I have several accounts. So
yeah, I mean, the idea is giving the power back to the people, right? I mean, that's the idea here. Very interesting.
So, you have to act.
Right. And so, put your ideas into action. Again,
Yes.
food for thought. We are facing immense challenges these days, but again, you are optimistic, and we should be optimistic as well.
Yeah, sure. Optimistic will cure all these diseases. Stress is a disease.
Sure.
So futures couldn't be as stressful.
Once again, food for thought. Professor Pak, thank you very much for being on the program and sharing your insights.
Thank you
We
for
appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you, as always, for watching. We'll see you next time, After 10.